Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Wednesday, it's September 11th. It is 2024. We have an 8-game MLB slate to talk about here on today's podcast. Joined today by, you all know him in the DFS streets as the Almanac. I know him as Dean. Dean, what's happening, my friend?
What's going on, Stevie? Just watching a little bit of Cubs Dodgers. That start just a few minutes ago. Got to assume it's a big news over there in Asia. Yamamoto taking on Imanaga. Former WBC teammates. The return of Yamamoto. He struck out the first two, and we may or may not have bet the under, and we might have props on strikeouts. But I'll try not to be distracted. 8-gamer, looking forward to it.
Distractions. That happens on the morning grind, especially this time of the year when we have so much sports going. So, I was telling Dean I have a couple really good DFS teams tonight. I'm second right now in the Grand Slam on FanDuel, and just needed like one or two more big hits right there at the end of the game from Ramirez, Naylor. It didn't happen, but looking through the lineups, I think people are gonna have a tough time catching me for second. So it should be a really good night over there. And on DraftKings, have a couple good teams with Savali going. So we'll see. But Minnesota, I mean, we talked about on the podcast yesterday, they were chalky, but they did not disappoint whatsoever on this slate. So interesting night. Much better.
Minnesota and Cleveland were like the two big chalk teams. One really got there. Cleveland had some moments, but Minnesota, of course, put up the double digits. My team was Oakland. I went with Oakland, a boom bust against Arrighetti, and it mostly busted. So, that's why I'm betting something else, because my night was over pretty quickly. And we turned the page to Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens, right? Missed the 3-pick parlay. Dean got on and said that Boston just missed a home run to tie the game at the end. I was like, oh, man, that would have been awesome, because that would have hit the 3-pick parlay, but we missed it. Boston just didn't show up against Baltimore on Tuesday night. We'll have another one at the end of this show, but we have a nice, like I said, little 8-game slate here on a Wednesday. Gives us some time to prep for some NFL as well. But let's get into it. We get started here. Kansas City at New York. 8 total in this game. Yankees a 145 favorite. Cole Reagans against Luis Hill. Any interest here in Cole Reagans?
Yeah, I think so. One of my mistakes, I suppose you want to call it a mistake, I did not have any Lugo on Tuesday night, and he was phenomenal. I did not think he had a big upside, but he was spectacular versus this Yankee team. I think the lineup has improved with the addition of Dominguez as well. Looks even better, but he shut the door, and Reagans is a better pitcher, than Lugo. And maybe like ERA, it might not be the same, but Lugo's been super lucky this season as far as you look at the ERA and the Sierra. But I love Reagans, love his Ks, love his reverse split Ks on the season. What do you look like 30% or so as far as his Ks versus righties? The Yankees are going to roll out a bunch of righties. It's kind of a boom bust spot. Not a great ballpark necessarily, but I think if nothing else, he's probably not going to be your cash game guy. But I think Reagans is a really interesting tournament pivot.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I wasn't playing Seth Lugo against the Yankees, but Reagans has a almost 30% K rate, and they're not going to be able to get all these lefties out of the lineup. So there should be some really solid strikeout upside in this matchup for Cole Reagans. So I think he's an excellent tournament play. He actually strikes right-handed hitters out at a higher clip. So if they if they get all these righties in there, that's what we want to see. But I mean, if like Rizzo's in there, like you're never mad about 15 ISO, 15, not 50, 15 ISO Rizzo lefty there.
God, it's over, right? It's over. The back did him in. It was a good run, but it's over, right? Can we say this?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like we've seen, like I think it's over this year, right? Like I don't think that like Rizzo's gonna do much at the end of this year, but like we've seen like guys like come back and like get like even more in shape and spend the offseason just fully committed to getting healthy and stuff. So you never know, like that could potentially happen, but I think this year, just not hitting the ball with any kind of power. Other side of this game, Luis Hill, 8,800 coming off of a huge game against the Cubs. Any interest here?
Of course. Yeah. By the way, this is the first of two years as far as Rizzo's contract. He's owed $17 million next year. 2 years,
So
40
it
mil.
wouldn't shock me if he really goes hard this offseason to try to get healthy.
I think he's going to try. I just, Father Time. Father Time is undefeated, right? That's just how that goes.
Yeah, but what if they win the World Series? Maybe he doesn't try as much. I got my ring. Yeah, with the Cubs. Yeah.
If that kind of thing matters to him. But yeah, the heel thing. I think both these pitchers are very much boom bust, right? Don't really want to pick on the Yankees. I feel better picking on Kansas City with the absence of the Pasquatch. Heel, you're worried about some of those lefty boppers, and Kansas City doesn't really have lefty boppers with the absence of Pasquantino, Melendez, Massey, Isbell. We're not afraid of those guys. And Heel, he's all over the place, right? You never really know if he's going to throw his strikes or not, but when he is, he's electric, and he can strike out 10. As far as K rates, I'm looking at K rates for Kansas City, their current iteration. Pretty contact heavy. The current lineup right now, or just the current roster, just 20%. And they're not very patient. I will say that 6.9%, which is not great. But yeah, you got to put Heel in the pool because he can strike out 10 in 7 innings. He also can walk 6 and 4, and it turns ugly. But 2 pitchers for me that are not going to be quote unquote cash game pitchers, but both have to be in the pool.
Yeah, what's interesting when you're looking at his stats is he actually has some positive regressing coming to his recent strikeout rate. It's 21.7%, but his whiff rate is higher than his season whiff rate. His swinging strike rate is above his season number. Just getting barreled very, very heavily by right-handed hitters, and I just don't think that's going to keep up by looking at his stats for the year. So I think that you could definitely take some tournament shots on him. The fact that he threw 89 pitches last time out after missing a couple weeks was really good for him. So I think that maybe he even gets up to 95 in this spot. And yeah, I mean, he's another tournament play for sure. Tacking some upside in tournaments today. And I think both of these pitchers have it. Any interest here in the Royals bats?
I mean, you're supposed to always be interested in playing against Heel just because he can get wild. Bobby Witt, always. It's just I don't love this full lineup. I kind of ran him off before. It's not great. The lefty power is not great. So what are we doing? We're hoping for walk homer. I guess that's that is the ideal situation here. Heel on the season, we're talking about 12.5% as far as the walks. But against righties, 107 ISO, really tough to bang one out. The lefty is a little bit vulnerable, but again, the lefties just not very good, Stevie. So I don't know how to play him outside of just hoping for a full implosion, get to the bullpen. You're locked in for 9. You get the ugly arms in New York because the game is 9-3 in the 5th inning. What are you looking for, Stevie? You seem flustered over there.
I found it. I found what I was looking for. I'm good.
Okay. I keep saying, what did you drop?
Yeah. I dropped my fingernail clippers. I have a hangnail. It was driving me crazy. And I couldn't. They hit off my foot, and I didn't know where they went. Yeah, mistakes were made, but I found them. I'm good. As far as the Royals bats for me, his recent struggles, righty, I think you take potentially some shots on Witt and Perez. They're so expensive, though. How much are you really going to get them into lineups today? On the Yankees side, I mean, listen, you could play Judge against any lefty in baseball. It doesn't matter who it is. So, especially a fly ball lefty like Cole Reagans. So, I mean, Judge, Torres, Stanton, but not playing a lot of them. I think Cole Reagans is a good pitcher.
If you're making 3 or 4 lineups, Stevie, and you're only allowed to take the stand of I'm only rostering, I have the pitcher pool from this game or I have the hitter pool from this game. Which side are you taking?
The pitcher side. I think the pitchers have more upside. When you look at the slate as a whole, we don't really have a lot of high ceiling pitchers. So I definitely would take the hitter or the pitching side of this game.
Yeah, we'll have the conversation. We have at least one, but we also have the same guy has a floor of basically 0, which we'll talk about soon. The most volatile pitcher in baseball.
I will say there is one pitcher on the slate that I just absolutely love, and we'll get to him late in the slate. I mean, I might actually, like, in a 3-incher max, lock this guy today. So we'll talk about him here in a few games. So moving on, we got Baltimore at Boston, 9 total. Boston Red Sox minus 130 favorite here. Dean Kramer, Nick Pivetta. Any interest here in Kramer?
He's just like fine, right? 22% strikeouts, 9.8% as far as walks, kind of a fly ball lean. He's got a 4.27 ERA, a 4.44 Sierra. He's just sort of fine. Not really. Ideally, I don't want him. But, if you're running 150, I guess he's in the pool. I don't run 150, so he's probably not in mine. So, it's a negative ballpark shift, especially when you consider the dimensions these days in Baltimore. So, not really. No. Good name, Kramer. Dean's not bad either. But no, I don't think so. I don't think I'm really interested.
Yeah, I mean, I know they just struggled yesterday or today, whenever you're listening to the podcast, against Suarez, but the Red Sox are just such a tough team against right-handed pitching. I don't want to touch Kramer in this spot. Nick Pivetta, I mean, Pivetta is a guy that I love to target in certain matchups. I don't think today's one of them. The bottom half of the Baltimore lineup, a lot of strikeouts. Top half of the lineup, just ton of power, not a lot of strikeouts. Like, just seems like an awful spot to play Pivetta. Any interest in Pivetta for you?
That's kind of where I'm at too. 1.75 homers per 9 on the season for Pivetta, and that's not the highest number on the slate, and that's mostly because Bobby Miller's pitching and Zebby Matthews is pitching, and those guys have exorbitant numbers as far as homers per 9. But 1.75 is a lot of fly balls, but it's not a crazy homer per 9 or homer to fly ball. That's 15%. So yeah, he's probably going to give up a homer, and he very likely, I don't want to say very good decent chance he gives up 2. So, no, I mean, the K's are there, and if a couple of those homers die in the warning track, or they go to dead center in Boston, tough spot to hit a homer, then maybe. But ideally, this is a game for bats.
Let's talk about those bats. I mean, Pivetta, like I said, gives up a ton of power, more to the right-handed side than the left-handed side, kind of a reverse splitsy home run pitcher. Still enough where I think you could especially attack this ballpark. I like Baltimore. I think this is a spot you can definitely attack Baltimore today.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Most of their hitters basically are left-handed, right? Gunnar, Mullins banged out a couple homers on Tuesday night. He should be back in there, left on right. Santander, the switch hitter, so he'll be there lefty. Mayo is the cheapie, right on right. If you have him aiming for the monster, he's been bad so far this year in a really small sample, but he's got a monster prospect status, and I assume he'll be fine soon enough. But yeah, I like the Baltimore offense, and like you said, you want righties against Pivetta, but he's not been like amazing as far as subduing homers against lefties either. 178 ISO, 235 against righties. So he's got some homers more so to the right hand side. But Gunnar, especially if you pull that ball in Boston, you get yourself a really really cheap homer. Mullins, same deal. You pull. That's the thing with Boston. Like if you don't pull it as a lefty, that outfield gets tough fast. Because it starts getting deep. David Ortiz kind of defied the idea that that's a tough ballpark for lefty power, but you got to really really pull it or have David Ortiz like power. But yeah, long story short, I like this Baltimore side. I like the Boston side too.
Any interest here in the Boston side? I know you just kind of said that you like them. I'm with you. I have interest in the Red Sox. They disappointed. They killed one of my teams on Tuesday night, but I mean, this is a go back to the well type of spot for me. Kramer struggles against lefties. This lineup is just full of lefties. They should have 7 left-handed hitters, maybe 6 left-handed hitters in this lineup today. Absolutely love the Red Sox here today.
Yeah, 100%. What is it? 9.5? What is the total in this game? I think it's 9.5. Is that correct?
9.
I think we're supposed to bet over 9 because it's going to get the 9.5. I know you later on at some point in the show, you're going to have the 3-pick parlay. Maybe you put that one in our back pocket, unless you feel differently. But I got a funny feeling that might get above. That might raise to 9.5 as this game closes. I got 9.5 on the Hard Rock, by the way. So maybe are you looking at scores and odds? Maybe that's a little bit behind. Or maybe shop around.
Yeah, I always shop around. I wrote this down 45 minutes ago, so it could have moved. I'm checking to see what it's at live on scores and odds. 9. You can get it. A couple places still have 9. So
Okay,
if
well,
you
if
are
you get
looking,
it, I get it.
yeah, BetMGM still has it at 9. FanDuel DraftKings at 9.5. Like you said, Hard Rock for us. Caesars has moved to 9.5. But you can get over 9 on BetMGM at -120. But it looks like a lot of the books have moved to 9.5. So a lot of 73% of the bets so far in this game have come over 9. So yeah, that
People
one's gonna
like
move.
betting over, just as like a general thought, though, right? It's just more fun to bet an over. Isn't that
Yeah,
like
but
it's like, people like rooting for ground
it's
out.
Baltimore and Boston in Boston with Dean Kramer and Nick Pivetta. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely think over in that game for sure. But any final thoughts on this one before we move on?
No, I like it all. I like this is probably the best game on the slate, one of the best games on the slate from an offensive perspective. So do not want to skip over this one. You mentioned Kramer, much more vulnerable to lefties than it is to righties. So, and Duran's going to be there, Devers going to be there, Tyler O'Neill, he's a righty, but still doesn't matter. He's got power versus everybody. So yeah, up and down. I like this Boston lineup. Same deal with Baltimore. Probably my favorite offensive environment of the night.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of those games where you're just kind of hoping for a lot. You could game stack it, you could play it a bunch of different ways. So, I mean, I'm with you. I think this is just one of those spots you're gonna like and you're gonna play, and you're not gonna really think twice about it. Stop telling me Arizona's hitting home runs in chat. What are you guys doing? I
Christian
was
Walker double dong. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I deserve to get passed by Arizona stacks because, like, before Dean and I started, I was like, "Oh, well, it's just Arizona behind me, and they're like 40 points behind me. I'm okay." I mean, I feel like I deserve it at that point. So,
Are jinxes real, Stevie?
no, I mean, listen. I played baseball for a very long time. I was very superstitious when I played baseball. So I'm the
What was the
wrong
most
person.
superstitious thing you did? Like, did you jump over the lines? Did you like chew like gum in between innings?
Oh,
What
I
did you do
mean,
as a pitcher?
I never stepped on the lines. First of
Yeah.
all, I feel like that is just that's baseball 101. I mean, I wore dirty socks throughout a tournament if we kept winning. I mean, I had no issues with that. So, um, that was
Underwear to that,
probably
that's probably shouldn't ask that.
the weirdest thing.
Yeah. Dirty socks. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the one that did the jock strap? Was that Jason Giambi many years
Oh,
ago?
I don't know, but that sounds awful. Like that just sounds disgusting. Like socks.
I think it was
So,
Giambi.
yeah.
Should Google that.
All right. We got LA at Minnesota. This game has an 8.5 total. Minnesota, a big favorite here. Kawanovic against Matthews. Any interest here in Kawanovic?
No. No, not interested. Yeah, his K rate on the season, Johanowitz is I know it's small samples, right? We're talking about 30 innings or so, but his K rate is 7.4%. Like you just get kicked out of the league at a certain point when that is your K rate. So no, I mean I can give you the will. No, just no. There's no chance I'm rostering him.
The good old fashioned Will Priester, fast no. I'm with you. No interest for me. Like you said, 162 plate appearances. The dude has a 7.4% strikeout rate this season. It's not good.
That's inexcusable.
Other side, Zebby Matthews, 5,800 against the Angels. I think I'm willing to roll the dice a little bit on DraftKings, like two pitcher sites, like 15 to 20. I think would be really nice at this price point. And like, I mean, he's a strike thrower. He's not going to go out there and walk a bunch of hitters. So, I mean, if he's pitching well, you can get 90 pitches here, throw 5 or 6 innings. Yeah, I mean, I think it at this price point, you play him as an SP2 in tournaments.
I don't disagree. I think he's in the pool, and like you said, strike thrower. He's cheap, and he's facing the Angels. And like right there, I mean, you can find more, you can dig in some, and like he's a bit of a prospect as well. You can poke holes. He hasn't been very good so far in the majors, in part because he's been giving up too many homers in a small sample, 22 innings, 2.45 per 9. That's an 18% homer on the fly ball. But like the Sierra is 3.81. It's basically half his ERA, which is in the 7s. And like you said, strike thrower 2.9% as far as the walks. And did we mention he's facing the Angels? Yeah. I think he's a very possible SP2. And I'm not expecting the world, but if he's efficient, he can go 6 in like 85 pitches or so against this Angels team, which is pretty terrible, pretty horrific. So he's later on you're going to ask like one of the cheapies that are in the pool potentially. I think Zebby is one of the guys. If I'm not going double barrel, Zebby's one of my guys I'm looking at.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to try to stack Baltimore, Boston, any of those teams, like they're so expensive, so you're going to need some cheap pitching. We're going to talk about Minnesota. I mean, the bats in this spot, just an excellent spot, and we'll talk about them in just a second. But my question is, do you have any interest in the Angels bats?
I don't think so. I guess you're supposed to pick out like you can go homer hunting with like an Ohapi or something like that, or the Ward. Is Adele hurt? Did I miss Adele being hurt? Because I feel like we haven't seen him for several days.
He's on the IL, yeah.
Okay, and you wouldn't really want.
And I think he's out. Anyway. I'm pretty sure he's out for the season too. Like it was an oblique or something, but I'm pretty sure he's out for the season.
Yeah, I see he's on the IL, and transferred to the 60-day, so he's done so with the oblique, like you said. Which you kind of want if you're playing Zebby. You want him in there to strike out. But Ohapi is a one-off. If you want to be different, you certainly get the power to bang out a homer, possibly two, and then break the slate. But I'm not stacking LA. No, not happening. Yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I like Moniak. This kid has been really bad against lefties in the small sample size that we've seen him. 412 ISO, 508 WOBA. Just doesn't have the out pitch against lefties yet. He's the one lefty that I really like here. Really slow start to the season, but has had really good month and a half. His home runs have gone way up. So I like Moniak. Shocking. I mean, if anyone listens to the podcast every day, they probably already knew that was coming. He's cheap too.
Rendon on the IL as well, by the way.
I mean the whole team's on the IL. The AAA team is up there playing in the majors. I mean, I like Minnesota. They were one of my top stacks on Tuesday. They were everybody's top stack. Listen, there's sometimes you just play the chalk, and that's exactly what I did on Tuesday and let other people make mistakes. And going right back to the well, Wallner was my favorite hitter on Tuesday. He absolutely smashed going back to the well on him. But I was very interested that they pinch ran for Larnach. Didn't see that one coming, but it didn't really matter at that point because the game was kind of over and he already had 20 something fantasy points or something. But what are your thoughts here on Minnesota?
So I wanted to start with the pinch hit stuff because that's what I talked about earlier today when I was giving analysis on chalk Minnesota. And the Angels only had, they had 3 lefties in their bullpen on Tuesday, and one of which was coming off throwing 50 pitches. So they essentially only had 2 lefties. And I wanted to see how many of their lefties pitched on Tuesday nights. Contreras, is he a lefty? I don't think so. I could be wrong here. No, that's Roansy Contreras, former starter. And I think there are other – no. Okay, so they went with no lefties, but that also because the game was essentially over. And if the game was close, they probably would roll out their lefties, and that's when you'll see the pinch hit risk. Again, if the game is 10-2, whatever, Minnesota doesn't care. But if they're trying to win games, they're in the thick of a wild card deal. The Angels, they're hitting the simulate the rest of the season button if that's available. Rendon's hitting the simulate the rest of the career if that's available. Is that button available for him? He'd love to do that. But guys like Wallner, guys like Julien, guys like Larnach are vulnerable to the pinch hit if a lefty comes in. But second base stinks enough and Julien's cheap enough that I don't think I care, right? If he only gets 2 at bats, it's possible. It's possible to start here for the Angels. Kahanowitz would only go through the lineup twice and they'll bring in a lefty reliever and there goes Julien. We've seen it before this season where he leads off and he only gets 2 ABs, but that's also kind of playing scared. And again, the position stinks and he's cheap. So I'm okay with it, especially if you're fully stacking and they'll keep him around if the game's over anyway. So long story short, do like Minnesota. This Kohanowitz character does not appear to be good. Lewis will be back, I assume. That was just a rest day, correct, right? As far as Tuesday?
I didn't see anything else besides that.
Okay, yeah, and I don't know when Buxton's coming back. They're talking about he was making progress, and then he was he had a setback. Who knows when he's coming back? Let's send Monday. Let's see. Buxton said Monday that he's been running without issue for the last few days. So probably not relevant for Wednesday, but I guess at some point we'll see Buxton again. But yeah, love the Twins.
Reds and Cardinals, 8.5 total. Cardinals a 130 favorite. Brandon Williamson against Lance Lynn. He's back. Any interest here in Williamson?
No. I mean, I don't think he's going to pitch very long, right? Isn't that the issue with him? Like, he's just not stretched out. I'm pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I assume that like 75 is probably his max. He's had 2 starts. He's been at 66 and 60.
Yeah.
They pulled him in that last start because he started to get in trouble against the Mets in that last inning. I mean, if he stays out of trouble, I think like 70 to 75 potentially, but I don't expect him to like go out there and throw a lot. He has been really good at throwing strikes. He doesn't miss a lot of bats, which is, something that could hurt him in this spot. So I'm probably not playing Williamson today.
What kind of trouble did he get in? 4 2/3, 1 hit, 1 walk.
I don't
1
remember.
strikeout.
I think there was 1 or 2 guys on base and they pulled him. So
yeah, maybe he hit like seven dudes. I don't know, but
yeah, because like it would have been the 9 hitter too, because he faced 17 hitters or 17 batters faced. So it wouldn't even have been like he's coming up on like the 3rd time through the lineup kind of thing. So I don't know.
And Cincinnati's going nowhere. They're not going to push him. There's no reason to. Like Green, I can't imagine we see Green again back. He's on the IL. I don't know why he was leading the league as far as pitches thrown per start. Can't imagine how he got hurt. But
he came in and he didn't start the last start against the Mets either. He was a long relief appearance, so maybe it was just
okay.
Maybe I was wrong on when he got pulled. But yeah, I mean, I'd have to look into it more.
Yeah, but like no is the answer. I mean, St. Louis I'm not afraid of, but I just don't know what his upside is. I don't see it. Maybe if all things go well, he throws 5 innings, and he might not even start. They might have an opener, like you said, which sometimes can be good because you avoid like the top 3 hitters, 4 hitters, 5 hitters for the other team. But it's a no. It's a no for me right now.
I mean, I don't think you can do it today. Other side, Lance Lynn coming back from the IL, 80 pitches in his rehab start on the 1st, so about 9 days ago. I'm not doing it, right? Like, there's no reason to play Lance Lynn on this slate, is there?
Doesn't seem necessary. Like, you're supposed to count the lefties, right? When you're talking about Lynn. De La Cruz is, one really imposing lefty. Friedel, Fraley. It's not a lot. Like, the projected lineup is probably just 3. So that's the positive. But like you said, St. Louis, what are they going to give? They might give him 80 pitches, 85, maybe 90. He's not great. He gives up power to lefties. I think De La Cruz is an awesome hitter. We'll talk about that in a second. I think he's a great play this slate, but I don't want to play him. Nobody wants to play him. Nobody ever wakes up and says, you know what I feel like doing today? You know what I'm excited about? Playing Lance Lynn. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just rather take shots on Matthews. So much cheaper. I mean, that's where I would be at.
Yes, I like that take.
Cincinnati side of this game, I mean, you mentioned it, De La Cruz. This seems like an excellent spot. Lance Lynn, pretty low strikeouts against lefties. De La Cruz, we like to target him against low strikeout righties. He has a huge ceiling in this spot. Friedel, Fraley, and I mean, Lance Lynn, you can run on Lance Lynn though. So like, I think you could take shots on like Jonathan India if you want to like make it a full 4-man stack, or even throw in Stevenson at catcher who has some power, but Lance Lynn is a guy you can run on as well, which, I mean, offers some upside to a Reds team that loves to run.
What's interesting with Lynn, and he's given up 13 stolen bases this year in 106 innings, right? 13 and 106. Last year, 7 and 183. The year before that, 1 and 121. Like, he's getting worse, but that's 1 and 121 is amazing. That's spectacular. And I think is the battery.
Catcher matters too.
Yeah,
I mean, Contreras being out is a huge difference.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah,
but it's just interesting.
How many years did Lance Lynn have Yachty that he was catching too?
That's a good point.
So I don't know. Yeah, Cardinals bats. Any interest in the Cardinals here?
They're so just blah. I mean, I don't know, man. The Cardinals. Is Lucan Baker still? Lucan Baker's 3. The tricky thing with him is like Williamson's probably not going to pitch that much, and I don't know. Is he an automatic pinch hit when they bring in a righty? Where are the Cardinals guys in the morning grind chat? because Baker had put up a bunch of homers in the minors. Now, to be fair, he's like 30, homering off like 20-year-old guys, so he's supposed to be homering. He might be 28. One-time prospect. He was once a prospect, but I think he's an interesting cheap source of power versus Williamson. If you're looking for a cheapie, once upon a time, speaking of, Arenado and Goldie used to smash left-handers as well, but they're both they're on the back nine and they're not on hole 10 of their career. I want to see Jordan Walker start doing things, but it just doesn't appear to be happening. I don't know. He's still only like Jordan Walker to me, Stevie, is like the baseball's version of Kyle Pitts. Like people think, Kyle Pitts, he's the worst. He's still like 23. I think Walker's 22. Like, give the dude a chance. He still might flop at some point, but let's give him, a couple of years to try to figure it out. I don't love St. Louis, but if you want me to pick St. Louis offense versus Williamson, I'll take St. Louis offense. That's not how this works, obviously, but that's where I'm at. They're fine-ish.
What's interesting about the Cardinals is the pricing. They're a cheap secondary stack, I feel like, today. Like, you could play Win if you're not paying up at shortstop, and he has some stolen base upside. Arenado's 3,800, Goldschmidt's 4K. You mentioned Baker's 3K. Depending on who catches, Baez and Herrera are both pretty cheap, but Paez is like 2,900. So, I mean, a lot of potential cheap Cardinals, but yeah, pinch hit risk is definitely going to be a thing here. But I mean, you're kind of getting that risk reward price wise. I mean, you're not Goldschmidt and Arenado are not getting pinch hit for, so like they're still cheap enough where you could play them. And Win probably hits leadoff here against the lefty, and he's cheap enough. So I think the Cardinals are an interesting like secondary cheap stack today.
But like Matt Carpenter possibly spells Luke and Baker in like the 6th inning or something like that. By the way, just an update on the Cubs and the Dodgers. Middle of 3, so 3 innings pitched for Yamamoto, 8 strikeouts through 3 innings. I think he's back.
He's back.
Yeah.
No, I don't think a lot of people even like took shots on him today.
No, because the pitch count, we assume he's going to throw maybe 60 pitches or something like that. I mean, it's hard to roster him.
All right, moving on. We got Oakland at Houston, 8 total. Astros are 198 favorite. Joey Estes, Hunter Brown. Any interest here in Estes?
No.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to play him today. I have some interest in Hunter Brown though.
Oh yeah,
I think like he's been like a second half guy. The first half of the season kind of rough for him, but I think Hunter Brown is definitely one of these tournament guys you can take some shots on today.
Yes, love Hunter Brown for sure. Big fan. As far as I feel like he's kind of neutral, right? As far as his splits, his left-right stuff, 26% Ks versus lefty, 23 versus righties. The ISO is good both ways, 96 versus righties. There is some power on this Oakland side, but there is a lot of strikeouts. There's a plethora of strikeouts, kind of a risk-reward thing. Jacob Wilson was batting leadoff for Oakland on Tuesday. I presume that was just a rest day for Butler, and he'll be back. Wilson, the number 7 pick in the most recent draft, hasn't looked great, in the small sample so far. But again, he's really, really young, and I imagine he'll be back out there again. But yeah, there's power. Rooker, Lede, Langoliers, Brown, but collectively they strike out a ton. I'm pulling up my stat here as far as Ks versus righties. Oakland 26.7% as far as the active roster. So Ks are to be had, and Brown is one of my favorite pitchers on the slate. You said one of your favorites coming up, you're going to hit the lock button. I guess it's not Brown because you didn't sound overly enthusiastic. But
I like him. It's in the next game. It's in the Seattle game. Shouldn't shock anybody. But yeah, I mean, I like Hunter Brown a lot today. Like, he's definitely a pitcher I want to pay up for. Yeah, I mean, if I lock in like Michael King in the next game and try to go double barrel, I think that Brown is definitely one of those guys, and like Snell is one of those guys, where Reagan's is one of those guys. Like, there's a couple cheap pitchers that we talked about, but I mean, obviously on this slate, Hunter Brown has strikeout upside against Oakland. Oakland bats. I love Oakland. I ordered a minor league baseball Oakland hat finally. It should be here soon, probably right when the season's getting over. But had to like it's been a wonderful season for Oakland, and I wish like half of these guys got to play on other teams because we would play them way more. But
wish they had a different owner.
Yeah, I mean they're doing things like Roker, Langeliers, Blade, Butler. They just keep doing their thing. I don't know if I would necessarily want to stack Oakland today. I like them in certain spots. Hunter Brown's a good pitcher. He's been a lot better here the second half of the season, just not getting hit hard whatsoever. 0.028 ISO over the last 30 days against both lefties and righties has not given up any power. He has a 0 ISO and 49 plate appearances against righties over the last 30 days.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's really good. It's not sustainable. But like even on the year, like when Hunter Brown was struggling, like even on the year, he still just didn't get barreled a lot. And I think that's one of the things that like I loved about him. Like he has a 4.3% barrel rate on the year. So I mean, I don't think this is the spot you want to play Oakland.
No. By the way, side question. Your hat, is it the Midland Roundhounds, the Lansing Lugnuts, the Stockport Ports, of course, the single A affiliate for Oakland, or is it the Las Vegas Aviators, the former Las Vegas 51s, I think. They used to be the Dodgers affiliates.
I think it's the Vegas one. I have no idea. That's a great question. I finally found the hat. Like I had talked about this one a long time ago. I was looking for this hat forever, and it's a pitcher like throwing dice. So I'm guessing it's a Vegas one, but
it's got to be a Vegas one. Yeah.
It sold out like instantly, and they had some red ones in stock the other day on the AAA site when I was looking. So or MILB or whatever it's called. So
is that that's the Gators you're wearing right now, right? I think it's the Gators hat.
Yeah, I got a Gators hat on.
Second best team in Florida. I'm wearing the best team in Florida. The hat. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah. I'm not like we're a baseball school right now. We're not even a football school. It's rough scenes during football season right now. Any interest here in the Houston bats against Estes?
Of course. Why wouldn't I have interest? Lefties, righties does not discriminate. 223 ISO versus left-handers, 197 ISO versus righties. Gives up a fair bit of fly balls as well. He's a contact guy, so he's a strike thrower. Alvarez, Tucker, it's all good. They're going to cost you, but I think those are two of the better hitters on the slate. I like Houston. Houston's one of my favorite teams that we have going. Probably my favorite team so far outside of Fenway.
Yeah, it's great having Kyle Tucker back in the lineup. It just gives Jordan Alvarez more protection with Altuve in front of him and Tucker behind him. We should get like Singleton and Hayward in the lineup today, 2,800 and 2,900. So like if you play those two guys, you can probably play three studs and still have really decent pitching. So I like that idea. But yeah, I'm with you. I like Houston. Definitely a team I'm going to be looking at stacking today.
Ton of fly balls for Estes. So the fly balls are off the charts. I'm looking at his fly ball stuff, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I didn't realize how massive his fly ball lean has been. 1.46 homers per 9 in the season, Stevie. Not good. And he's doing that in Oakland, half his games, 9.3% homer to fly ball. Like, it should be worse. He should be giving up more with all the fly balls he's giving up.
All right, San Diego at Seattle. 7 total in this game. Pick'em game. Michael King, Brian Wu. Woo. I was watching How I Met Your Mother before we got rolling here, and it was the Woo Girls episode, and you just did the Woo, and it made me laugh. Inside,
I don't know the reference. I'll confess. I've never.
Yeah,
I'm aware of the show.
You haven't watched How I Met Your Mother?
I was once at Grant's house, and Grant made me watch it one time. He had power of remote, and he turned on How I Met Your Mother. But I've never. I mean, I'm aware of the people. Jason Segel, Allison Hagen, Neil Patrick Harris. I forget his character name, but I know it's referenced sometimes. But yeah, I guess I'm missing out. I've not seen it. I have a bias against laugh tracks, so that's on me. The last laugh track show I've watched is Seinfeld. I'm fairly certain.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk Michael King. I already kind of said it. I mean, he's my favorite pitcher by far in this slate. Massive strikeout matchup here against Seattle. Under 10K. He's shown big upside this season just in general. Like he's a guy that can double-digit strike out anybody. And like it really hasn't dropped off for him. He has a 28% K rate on the year, 28.6 over the last 30 days. And they keep striking out. Like they brought some hitters in and they strike out too. Like, this is just a spot where if Michael King pitches bad, I'm willing to move on to the next slate. I mean, this is just a guy that I absolutely love today.
Yeah, 32.5% as far as Ks versus righties versus lefties, 24.4%. They really can't get too left-handed there in Seattle, and their lefties, Rojas, Crawford, Raleigh, are not very good. Big Dumper is the one, right? But, of course, they'll go out there and strike out a fair bit. The active roster for Seattle, no team active roster-wise strikes out more versus righties, 27%. They will be a little bit patient, but King is pretty good as far as his walks, and they're pretty much in check. Seattle will walk 9.9%, but King is one of the best pitchers in the slate. It sounds like he is your favorite, and I would not argue with you.
They like watching third pitch strikes, you know? There you go. Other side, like, Wu is a guy that I'll play from time to time. I'd call him a slightly below average strikeout pitcher, but a really strong, good life, like, or real life good pitcher. Like, just a really solid pitcher. The whole Seattle staff just really good. Not today, not against San Diego. They just don't strike out against right-handed pitching. 17.8% for this active lineup. This is not a spot I want to play Wu today.
No, I thought Wu would have more Ks, and it feels like he is a guy that maybe he's leaving a couple on the table just for he's just pitching. He's just throwing strikes. His walk rate in the season is 2.4%. That is immaculate, right? 10.2% as far as the swinging strike rate, only 20.2% when it comes to the Ks. So maybe there's a couple being left on the table, but I'm not in on Wu. They tend to keep his pitch count down a little bit. And, the Padres, some may call them gutless sometimes, but what they will do is they will pop out and they will ground out. They don't strike out a ton, and Ks are king. So not going to be in on Wu. I agree with you. Very simple.
Listen, I respect him enough where I don't want to play the Padres today either. I think there's plenty of times you could play the San Diego. Merrill is having a fantastic season. I'm going to pass on San Diego today.
Look, me and you are similar. We only make 3 lineups or so, depending on, or maybe one main lineup, depending on. I don't anticipate rostering a hitter in this game. It's unlikely that it happens. So I don't have any interest.
Yeah, they always talk about the Nature Boy. I always think of Mighty Ducks. Woo, 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 Kenny Woo. It's every time. Every time. Not playing Seattle today. Yeah, I did. I actually did.
How is it? I've never seen it.
It was all right. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. I mean, it wasn't spectacular. I liked a lot of the people that were in the show. What's the
Emilio Estevez?
What's the one from the lead lady in the show? I can't think of. She was on Gilmore Girls.
Lauren Graham?
Yes. I like her. She's hilarious.
That one out.
Yeah, there you go. I think she's hilarious. My wife has made me watch Gilmore Girls many, many times. So
I hear it's a good watch. I've never seen it before.
It's hilarious. I mean, you wouldn't think of it, but yeah. I mean, if it's on TV, I'll watch it without my wife too. I mean, I think that it's a hilarious show. So, all right, Milwaukee at San Francisco. 7 total. San Francisco 150 favorite. Colin Ray, Blake Snell. Just murderer's row here in these last few games as far as pitching matchups for these hitters. Any interest here in Colin Ray?
I guess he's sort of. What's his price? 7.8K. It's sort of the ballparks in play. I'm good picking on San Fran. Never really enthused to play Ray. 19.5% as far as the strikeouts. Pretty good contact pitcher. Does give up fly balls, but he should be protected mostly with this the cavernous nature of San Fran. I'm not going to be interested in any bats, I'll tell you that, but I don't think I want to play Ray, but maybe break in case of emergency. Who's around him? I guess that's the other question. Woo's right there, Miller's right there. It's kind of a dead zone. I don't want to play him, but it's okay. He should be fine.
Yeah, so if I play a 20-incher max today, I would leave him on my player pool, set 0 as the min, 20 as the max, and if I get 2, 3, 4 lineups of him, sure, whatever.
Yeah,
kind of thing. but he's not a guy like in a 3-incher max I'm going to play. I just don't think like he has the ceiling you're looking for. But
No.
I mean, you have to remember, and we have to remember as a whole, San Francisco striking out at a huge clip right now. They have everybody in their lineup besides Patrick Bailey has a strikeout rate over 20% against right-handed pitching, and Bailey's at like 19.6%. If I remember correctly, when I wrote up Savali today, it was like everybody was over 23.5%. So like huge strikeouts in this lineup, just a lot of strikeouts. And the ballpark protects Rays fly balls. So yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's been really struggling with the home run recently. Multiple home runs in 3 of his last 5 games, Cincinnati, Oakland, and the Dodgers. So yeah, I mean, I think he's okay. He's not my favorite. I don't think he's a fade. If, like I said, if I was playing like 20-incher max, 0 min, 20 max, if I get him in 3 to 4 lineups, it's fine. Other side here, Blake Snell. I mean, we're attacking the strikeout upside, right? Like, maybe, like, oh, gosh, like he was awful last time out, and like awful. I don't even think that's the right term for what he was last time out.
He threw too many pitches in the first inning, and they just didn't want to burn him out. He threw 42 pitches in the first inning. Yep. He walked 2 guys because he goes 3-2 on everybody. He gave up 2 hits and 1 run, but they're like, look, you threw 42 pitches. That's it. That's it. We can't let you go back out there again. We've invested a lot of money in your arm. This is when I'm happy to be the host, Stevie, and just asking the question, can I pass? I don't know what to do with Blake Snell. I have no idea. I don't know what to tell you because he can throw, 5 walks and be done in the first inning. And, it's the old story, like he's pitching against himself. But he's got the clear-cut highest upside, 32.7 K rate on the season. I don't know. I don't know which one we're getting. I can't pretend to know who's going to show up there. We see the floor. We've seen the ceiling. I don't know what to do with him, though. I guess ownership can kind of dictate to that, and then that's kind of a cop-out on this podcast. But that's where I'm at. I don't know where he's going to be ownership-wise. If he's going to be really popular, I think you're supposed to be under. If he's going to be somewhat unknown, it's an 8-gamer, and he can't really hide. He can only hide so much. I don't know what to do. If you're making 3 lineups, he should probably be in at least 1, but not 3.
Yeah, I mean, he's not an all-in guy. Like I am fully confident in going all in on King in like a 3-incher max, like I mentioned. But like Snell, 1 of 3, 2 of 3. I mean, like if you're just chasing the ceiling, like he can go anywhere from -5 to 35. He has absolutely no floor whatsoever. You're playing Blake Snell for his ceiling. I mean, when this guy is on, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. So at 9,800 in this matchup, Milwaukee better against right-handed pitching than they are against left-handed pitching. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna pass here, or not pass. I think I'm gonna play him here. I was reading Savali out at 68 pitches and got annoyed. So
yeah. Well,
anyway.
Don't you want that? Aren't you? Isn't a lot of people?
Oh no, I had some good DK teams, and like the closest Savali team on FanDuel for me was like 40 points away, so I felt pretty good about that.
No quality start.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm fading right now on FanDuel is that Houston game. There's a couple people in Houston behind me, and the guy that like jumped up, he has Tommy Edman who hit a home run. And he jumped up behind me, so.
Oh, we're on the 11th inning. I didn't realize that. It's 2-2.
Yeah.
In Houston. My Oakland stack is still alive in theory.
In theory,
keeps getting out.
Do you like my question is here? Do you like any bats from this game?
Not really. No. I mean, you can play Contreras. Churio has been spectacular. Adames, when he gets a hold of it, doesn't really matter. I like the Milwaukee side better than the San Fran side. If you're just betting on the implosion of Snell, which I don't know how to put a number on it, pull it out the butt, but like, I don't know, 20% of the time, 15% of the time, you might get a Snell implosion. And then, if Milwaukee's up 5-0 in the 3rd inning, 4th inning, Snell's out, you're locked in for 9 innings, and they're not going to roll out their best pitchers to finish the game up. So I don't know what number lineup it should be. Your 10th lineup, your 20th lineup, your 30th. But if you're making a certain number, I think you're supposed to have at least 1 Milwaukee stack. But not your first lineup or your second.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I mean, I think I'd have to play 150. I don't even think in a 20-incher max I'd get to Milwaukee on this slate. Not in this ballpark. If this game was in Milwaukee,
I play 1 in 20. But that's It's a little baby hedge.
Yeah,
but
10% of everybody, Dean. I understand.
That's 5%, sir.
I know. Old listeners get the joke though. That's all that matters. Gotta keep the old OGs around. They get the joke. We finish out this slate. We finish out the slate with the Cubs and Dodgers, 9 total. Dodgers a 162 favorite. We got Wicks and Miller facing off against each other. Just like night and day from the matchup that we have on Tuesday night. Any interest here in Jordan Wicks?
No. I don't really want to pick on the Dodgers. I did roll out because the Dodgers kind of ran out a weekend lineup on Tuesday. Not only was Teoscar out, but the Will Smith was out. I assume Will's going to be back, right? That's just a regular rest day for the catcher. And maybe Teoscar comes back. We're at the point where, I don't know, how does the IL work this point of the season? Did they even throw guys in the IL as far as call-ups? Actually, no, there's not 40-man rosters anymore, right? It's 27. Is that it?
Yep.
Maybe at some point.
Oh, man, Edmund just hit another home run.
Did he really?
Yeah. Oh, gotta love it.
Wait, Tommy Edman?
Yeah, he hadn't had a home run all season. He just hit 2 tonight. So.
Oh my gosh, that's not good. We have under first 5, under 3.5. So we can't have any more runs. No more runs here in the LA.
It was a solo, so.
Yeah. I feel like I still think we're going to be okay. We'll see. But derail in the show. Jordan Wicks, no. The answer is no. We're not picking in the Dodgers. I assume they get Will Smith back, and there's a chance they get Teoscar as well. And if not, they still have 4 really, really legit hitters at the top. And apparently Tommy Edman's really good now. Small sample.
Oh, man. I can't believe how many people up towards the top passed me with Tommy Edman. I went from 2nd to 6th.
Oh, dude, sorry.
That's nice. Listen, I mean, it's fun to sweat it out at this point. You've been around, you know how it is. Like you can't cash anything until it's in your account. So I'm not playing Jordan Wicks today. We'll talk about the Dodgers bats. I have an interesting take on them, and we'll talk about it when we get there. But I can confidently say that I have absolutely no interest in Bobby Miller on the other side of this game.
Yeah. At what point do we start talking about the Dodgers pitching coach, by the way? I mean, maybe it's small sample stuff. Maybe it's just coincidences. Bueller, I guess it's injuries, but he's been horrendous. Kershaw, I guess it's injuries. I guess it's injuries, but he's been horrendous. Well, Kershaw has not been great, but, maybe it's just a circumstance. I'm not sure. But Miller he's another guy that comes with a lot of promise, but I hit it before. I talked about his homers. 2.72 homers per 9. It's small sample-ish, 49 innings, almost a 29% homer and a fly ball, so that should come down. But just like walks too, 11.3% walks, too many walks, too many homers. I think you're supposed to play some Cubs and you're supposed to play some Dodgers. This game is kind of like a sandwich on the slate as far as the best bats are at the top. If we're counting this game, and depending on how you look at the games lined up, but Baltimore and Boston, and then the hammer that is Chicago and the Dodgers. There's not a lot in the middle. We talked about Houston, but I don't know why I'm just vision. That's why I'm seeing the slate is like game 1, game 8, and game 4 in the middle. But that's the slate. And you said you have a take as far as the Dodgers. I'm curious to hear it because I would imagine we like them to some degree.
I like the Cubs a lot. I don't like Bobby Miller. He struggles against lefties and righties. A lot of power, just doesn't get hitters out. I mean, gives up a ton of barrels. At least 3 earned runs in 5 straight starts for him. 7 last time out against the Angels. When you're giving up 3 home runs to the Angels, I mean, he's given up multiple home runs in 4 of his last 5 starts. He's been awful. So a lot of interest today in the Cubs. I think the Cubs are like your late hammer spot type of game. So here's the thing, as far as the Dodgers bats, I like the Dodgers. Don't get me wrong. I think this is a good spot for them. My concern is this dude's not going to pitch deep into this game. And that is going to open up some pinch hit risk for some of these righties that are potentially in the lineup. So that is a concern. And Cubs bullpen is good. Both of these bullpens are really good, but the Cubs bullpen is really good. So if Wicks gets in trouble in the 3rd or 4th inning here, they have a lot of good arms, and they could throw a lot of good arms at him at the Dodgers. So that's my concern. It's just like playing platoons and facing bad matchups. But I mean, how do you not have interest in like Betts and Tommy Edman, who hits home runs?
Well, Edman's secure, right? If he's a switch hitter, he'll stick around.
Yeah, he'll stay in. They've been playing him daily. They like him a lot.
They traded for him, or at least they picked him up. Was it a trade, or they picked him off at the waiver wire? I don't recall.
I thought it was a trade, but I could be wrong.
All right. Yeah, Hernandez is another guy that can get pinch hit for. Rojas, Taylor, but it's the back, and they're also not good at hitters. Even when they have a chance, they're not getting pinch hit for. They're bad, but they're cheap, right? And that they help you get the stack. We do live in the world of a salary cap, and if you want to stack Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar, good luck. It was a 3-way trade with the White Sox. We're being told in the chat from Derek.
Cardinals got Fetty, Dodgers got Edman, and White Sox got prospects from both teams. So
Machado just homered, and Yamamoto out after 4 innings. 4 innings, 8 Ks, 4 hits, 1 earned run. So he was spectacular in his first start back.
That was the trade that they got Kopech too, right? Didn't they get Edman and Kopech?
Yes, that sounds right. And Kopech has been awesome since coming over for and I think he's one of their closers. They can't really decide who their closer is, but he's one of the guys in the pen that's been collecting saves and holds for my season-long team. I had to get that in there, Stevie. The people really want to know. Hudson, I think, is the other guy. I got them both, so it's beautiful when they double down. They get one gets a save and one gets a hold. There you go. We're in the playoffs, man.
We're moving on to the morning grind game. We can't let Dean derail the show for season-long talk here. Under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. Who do you got?
Ooh, okay. I should have come prepared, and then we're going to wing it. Hold on a second. Let me see my options. Under 8K, so it's Ray, Miller, Lynn, Wicks, Estes, Kramer. Oof, this is not good. I don't like my chances. This game feels rigged, TV. All right. It's Zebby. Zebby is the best answer I got for you. It's Zebby Matthews. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, that's who I would pick as well. I'll go Colin Ray just because the Giants strike out a ton.
Sure.
I don't think he necessarily gets there, but he could. Over 8K to score under 15. Who's your bust today?
Ooh. It's either Woo or Pavetta. It's one of those two, I think. I don't believe it's he. I like Brown, like King. Snell, it could be negative 15. I'm going to say Pavetta. I want to take Pavetta.
I'm going to go. I like the Pavetta answer for sure. I think I have to go Woo against San Diego. They're just such a low strikeout team. And I feel like it's kind of a cheating answer, but I mean, that's who I would pick here. Over 4K to hit a home run. Who's going yard today?
Man, I know the question was coming and I still was not prepared for it. You know what? We're going to get another revenge homer from Cody Bellinger.
I like it. I am going to go Kyle Tucker against Estes. We talked about the fly balls there. I like Houston power.
Yeah, I like that.
Under 4K to get 2 hits. Who's a cheap bet that you like to get some hits today?
Ooh, let's see. Is there a cheap bet that's going to get me 2 hits? We like Houston, but nobody really cheap there. Singleton is not a great batting average guy. Jackson Holiday is 4K?
No, it has to be under 4K.
Unbelievable. You can't sneak that one past you.
Nope.
I guess, Yoshida? Is Yoshida the answer?
I mean, that's not my answer, but do your thing.
It's probably showing Minnesota. Hold on a second. I forgot Minnesota was playing baseball. Maybe it's not Minnesota. I'll stick with Yoshida.
I'm going to go to my boy PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong.
That's a good answer.
I need to get Devin to make me, like, I have all the morning grind images for baseball. I need to get Devin to make me a PCA blue hair morning grind image because I talk about this guy so much. But
what does he have to do to bat like 6th?
I don't know why. Why does Nico Horner hit in front of this guy? I get like the righty lefty, I guess, but man, like, why is Horner hitting in front of this guy? And like Paredes he has not been great. Like, they just do it so they go righty lefty. Like, the managers nowadays love this like righty lefty thing, and it drives me crazy.
Dusty Baker did that all. Remember Kyle Tucker was batting 6th for Houston? Drove me wild. I did not like it. I know he's a Hall of Fame manager and he knows more than I'll ever know about baseball, but like, come on, dude. It's okay. You can play left, back to back.
It's because of all the reliever rules, and it's so stupid. I hate it. All right, stack to score 6 or more runs. Who do you got scoring some runs today?
Let's see. It's either Baltimore, Boston, Houston. It's Houston. I'll go Houston.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got to go to my Red Sox. Got to go back to the well. Dean Kramer really struggles with lefties. Going back to the well here on my Red Sox. Let's go to the betting portion of the show. Any player props or pick 'em plays that you like today?
What's Houston run line? Can we get them like even on the run line? -1.5, -110. There you go. I like Houston run line.
I was looking
for
the
run line. You dabble on the run line?
I don't hate it.
It's tough at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough at home. That's kind of what I was thinking too, but I mean, I don't necessarily hate it. I was looking for some like strikeout props, and there's like nothing up yet. But
no.
I do have my 3-pick parlay for today. Missed the Tuesday one, hit the Monday one. Today I got a plus 501 3-pick parlay. So I thought that one was really interesting. Going over 4.5 runs for Minnesota. Really like the Twins here against the Angels. Not only do I like the matchup here for Minnesota, but also the Angels bullpen just continues to struggle. So really like Minnesota over 4.5 runs. Going to that Baltimore game over 9.5. I tried to get this in pre-show at 9, and it moved too fast, so couldn't do that. I'll still take over 9.5 here. I think this is going to be a game with a lot of runs scored. And then I'm going to finish it out. Late night hammer, Dodgers, Cubs over 8.5, -135. So that's what I got for the 3-pick parlay today, plus 501. And hopefully we can get back on track here on Wednesday. Dean, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, sorry for the mush. I'm going to trail that. I wish it wasn't -135, but I do like LA, Chicago over 8.5 a good bit.
Yeah, but I mean, when you throw it in like the 3-pick parlay, I feel like that's the type of ones that I like, the 135 ones. I mean, a lot of the successful 3-pick parlays we've had will have like a -170, where I just feel like it's like an excellent spot. But
so it's like a 2-team parlay basically.
Yeah, and you just kind of get the 3-pick in there. So I will be looking for Michael King's strikeout prop, and I will be looking for Brian Woo's under strikeout prop. So those are two that like player props I'll be looking for to see what happens there. That's going to wrap it up here for Wednesday. We're back tomorrow with the football podcast week 2. Me and Noto going to break down the week 2 slate. Should be a ton of fun. I know there's just a ton of shows on RotoGrinders, so make sure you guys are checking all of those out. Week 2, the overreaction week. I love week 2 in the NFL. Week 1 didn't go great. It was like the first time in a long time I had a bad week 1, and ready to make it back in week 2 because everyone's going to overreact. So Noto and I will talk about that tomorrow. And that's going to wrap it up. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you then.
Holler.